Hi, my name is Andreas, and some say the perfect aircraft does not exist yet. So I decided to build it on my own. If you love aircraft, follow me, get it from dream to reality. Let's go! Hi and welcome back, my friends. We ran out of glue and we are now waiting for the resupplies to be delivered. In the meantime, I would like to answer the third most asked question after which engine do you use, which by the way is the TJ100 or TJ150, and how fast is your aircraft going to be, where the answer is we don't know. Our test pilot will slowly extend the flight profile for as long as he feels comfortable, but he already told me that he's expecting the number 3 as the leading digit, which would be more than awesome. But on place 3 of the most asked questions is, why do you think that your aircraft is better than others? In fact, I literally got called by an aircraft development consultant who thought that there may be an error in our calculations. So, after letting him review our numbers, I thought to myself, this is a good time to show you what differences you can expect for the Horus in terms of performance. The first diagram he was referring to is this chart here, showing the drag value for a certain angle of attack. In red, you can see the NACA 64 series profile, which is used in all similar aircraft, and our profile next to it in blue. It has significantly better drag values, but only at angles which our aircraft will never experience. So he calculated that our angle of attack in cruise would be close to 0, where there is no visible improvement against the NACA profile at all. The second diagram is showing that our profile has significantly higher lift values, meaning it can potentially go slower at the same weight. Again, our profile is presented in blue, and there are also dashed lines which depict the lift at super slow speeds. Most people will only show you the solid lines as they look much more promising. But lift gets significantly worse at lower speeds, and I am trying to show you realistic numbers and not build castles in the sky. But as you can see, also the dashed line is way better with our profile than for the NACA 64 series. Here again, there is the problem that it is only better at angles beyond 10 degrees. For your context, 10 degrees is what you would only see in a flapless landing, so where does all the improvement come from? But before I show you how the magic is done, let me quickly give you some context where the other aircraft originally came from. I am sure that you all know the famous BD-5 jet, which got popular by flying through the barn in James Bond Octopussy. I would bet money that you didn't know that Jim Beatty got the inspiration from a ASW-15 glider, where he built a similar cockpit section and just added super tiny wings and an even tinier tail. By the way, I showed you the green BD-5 for a reason, because the owner is a good friend of mine and I could already test it on the ground. And I have to say, I don't regret starting the Horus project, as it will be so much more comfortable. I don't even know where to begin to describe. But the wings and tail were a bit too tiny, which results in pilot-induced oscillations, unrecoverable stall behavior, etc. This is where the JSX-2 came into play. This one is originally derived from a small sports plane. They just reduced the wingspan, put it further back and added a pointy nose, and voila, they had a jet. The wing of the JSX was originally built to cruise at only around 120 knots, but as our aircraft is using a clean sheet design, we are not bound to any pre-existing wing geometry. We are also using carbon fiber instead of aluminum, which means that we can build the aircraft in total about 100 pounds lighter than the JSX, resulting in an accordingly smaller wing. Here you can see that our improved wing has about 30% less drag, but this is just half of the truth. In reality, the drag of the wing is just a fraction of the total drag. The first chart already included the tail surfaces, but are still missing fuselage and interference drag. So let's add some drag for the fuselage as well. Now it will depict reality much closer than before. Please also don't take this here as any official company statement. I, Andreas, am providing you this explanation in my own capacity and as my private opinion only. I neither have any official values from Sonex, and I solely reverse engineered them from plan views and the few officially stated numbers. Also, the predicted numbers for our aircraft are just for your entertainment only. We will publish official numbers after the test pilots have evaluated them in multiple different flight mission scenarios. So for now, just take it as an explanation as to why we have designed the aircraft the way we did. Okay, so the blue line is showing the predicted drag curve of the Horus aircraft. We calculated it with the maximum takeoff weight in standard configuration and also once more with an optional additional fuel tank for longer range. You will notice that at higher speeds there is interestingly almost no difference resulting from the additional weight anymore. And on the left side you can see that the higher weight is still possible even in clean configuration, but now with an additional 5 knots in stall speed. Please note that the calculations don't show the whole curve down to the stall speed due to the method used. The yellow line is showing the calculated drag for the JSX. As we don't know the exact value of the fuselage drag, I estimated it once with a coefficient of 0.05 and once 0.08. It is likely that the truth will be somewhere in between. For full disclosure here, the Horus fuselage is calculated here with a coefficient of 0.05 and the cruise speed for the JSX based on this calculation method is approximately in the right ballpark with the true airspeed as stated by Sonex. You can see that our cruising speed is likely to be within 220 and 230 knots and that a calibrated airspeed of 300 knots is achievable with the engine power that we have available, although with a stupidly high consumption. Later on, flight tests will have to prove if such speeds can be achieved without any risk of flutter in reality. But although the speed is the second most asked question for the aircraft, what's even more impressive is what is possible to achieve in terms of range. On the left side you can see the weight depicted as bars, with the barber pole on the bottom depicting the amount of weight from the fuel. Our aircraft is targeted to be lighter, but as I said earlier, we want to give pilots the chance of adding an additional fuel tank in the wings. This will add approximately 69% of additional available fuel. And on the right side you can see what this means in terms of range. The first bar shows the amount of fuel included in the 40-gallon or 160-liter main tank. The barber pole depicts here the amount of fuel which is allocated as reserve fuel. The dark blue pole is now the range resulting from the remaining fuel. By having an additional 28 gallons available, this means that the fuel available for going to places is already almost doubled. Now multiply it with the additional speed that you get from for the same consumption and you will see that range is now a little bit more than twice of what it was before. So, as I said before, I cannot yet give you in writing that we will be able to actually reach all of our goals, but if we just manage to get half of the predicted values, it will already be an impressive machine. Thank you for staying with me till the end, and if you liked getting such a detailed explanation, subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything, but motivates me a lot to do such explanatories more often. Have a nice weekend, and as always, fly safe, fly Horus.